Well, good morning, everybody. Hey, hi, it's Becky from Power Tools with Thread. You are in our Stitchuation room. This is a Monday through Friday live stitching event where you hang out with me in here and follow me on my sewing journey. And I hope I can inspire you to put something under the needle. If you are new, welcome. I'm so glad you're here. And if you are a veteran of Power Tools with Thread, I am glad to see you again. Hello to everybody in the chat. Yay! Okay. Hey, Harriet, 2 cancellations for September. We have room with a cabin. So Bonnie and you guys can reach out and make all that work. Yay! We were talking about that on the cruise, that maybe she could get down there to our Power Tools with Thread RV Sew Together in El Campo, Texas. Awesome, awesome. Hi, Diane. She says, morning from hot Las Vegas. Y'all, it's hot here. I had to put the dew up. It's hot and steamy already. Now, I want to apologize first off because the propane guys are here to install the heat for the spa pool that we're putting in. And then my husband discovered the heater's not here. So he's got a guy coming with that. I don't know. And then also, pardon me, the guy is going to install a line. I'm getting a gas stove. I'm so excited. I've always wanted one. So I'm really excited about that. It's here. The stove is here. It got delivered yesterday morning before we started. These guys are early here. They like to get stuff done when it's cool, for sure. So anyway, all right. So would it be silly to buy a 2-year-old van if you already have a 2020 truck that's paid for? Yes, it would. No bills. That's the rule. Awesome. So I just saw a question here. When you bring a design into In Brilliance to make SVGs, can you use the design for embroidery or should you save as a new design for embroidery? Diane, I'm not clear on that. So, oh my, I will love my new stove. I know I got the one that has it's got the griddle in the middle of it. Because y'all, we eat some tortillas down here and I like to have them heated up. They're better that way. You didn't come here to hear that. We are here to talk about Autumn Love. Okay, so Autumn Love is it's a yellow Lori Holt book stand, sure is. So this is an embroidery version of this quilt, okay? You want to say hi to my love of my life over there? Frida wants her biscuit. There we are. Say hi, everybody. Oh, honey, will you bring me her bucket? It's on the long arm. Not prepared, y'all. Okay. So, you guys, here's your Frito visit. Hi, guys. Yeah, there we go. There's my Frito visit. Yeah. You want your Dave biscuits? They're right here. That's a girl. Oh, good girl. Okay. You need to trim down a little bit, so you're only going to get one helping. And here's your stick. Go brush your teeth. All right. Bye-bye. Fortunately, she can't count. Oh, thank you, love. See you later. Everybody saying, hi, Keith. Okay, so this is the embroidery version. Now, there's another quilt for Autumn Love that is the sewing version, and it uses those clear plastic templates from Riley Blake. And we're not doing that one. That's the quilted version. So this is the embroidery. And this one you can do a 6x10 so for the hoop size, right? I'll just show it to you guys up close so you can see. Let me see if I can get that straight. Wall quilt is 37.5 by 42.5. That uses a 6x10 hoop. And then the lap quilt, 56 by 63.5, uses an 8x12. And then the throw quilt, 65.5 by 74. And it uses the 9x14. So way back when I started promoting this, and I will be making the 6x10. I'm making the small version. So way back when I started promoting this, I had set up with Two Chicks Quilting to kit this. Okay. And a lot of you got the kits. They are sold out of the kits. I have a link below for the USB. They are still selling those. Riley Blake has promised Two Chicks Quilting in Ganado, Texas. Those are my girls down there. They have promised them they will make as many USBs as needed. So if you have a load of Lori Holt fabrics like I do, then you can make it using your stash, and that will be fine. Okay. So today's video is all about the prep to get ready for this, besides just getting the USB and getting the fabric kit. So Linda says she has the quilt kit of the original sewing version. Yeah, that's cool. So if you have the kit, all you got to do is get the USB, and then you can embroider right along with us, and that'll be fun. So they are cutting them as fast as they can. Linda says, got an email this morning. They're cutting them as fast as they can. Be patient. Right. So they, y'all, I got a little bit of a, I don't know if it's allergies. Ever since we got back into Texas, I have the sniffles. So I apologize. Getting the USB. What does my shirt say? It says, there may come a day when I decide I have too much fabric, but today is not that day. Isn't that cute? This is from Allie M Tees. I have a link below if you would like to order some fun quilting t-shirts. Then she's the spot to go. I met her. She lives north of the Woodlands in Texas, which is just north of Houston. And I met her at Houston Festival last year. Sweet, sweet lady. Okay. You'd like to use an 8x8 hoop. Do I think it would work? Donna, you would need to make the 6x10 version. Yes, you can. That's the cool thing about embroidery. So you may have, you know, these give you those size options. You can always stitch something small in a larger hoop. You're just going to use more stabilizer, okay? But you just can't stitch a large thing in a small hoop, okay? You're not going to be able to do that. I do not, even if you have software, I do not recommend editing these designs at all. You're going to be very unhappy with the result. A lot of people have asked me, hey, can I size it down? Y'all, sizing stitches is not the same as sizing images, okay? So you need to be very careful about that. I do not recommend at all changing the size of these embroidery designs. Please use them as they are designed on here, okay? Okay. Kathy Clark says, can you imagine what it's be like to go into work and cut all of that autumn love fabric? Y'all, oh my goodness, she ordered so much fabric. But they have one of those mechanical, it looks kind of like a giant rotary cutter, you know, so they put a big stack of fabric and just right through it. I would think the rough part would be putting the labels on the fabric for sure. Okay, so I was digging around in my Lori Holt fabric. I have a ton of it. And I had done one of the Stitchuation rooms here, oh, I don't know, a couple months ago. And I had all of my Lori Holt fabric out on my cutting table, and it was just piled high, right? So, you know what I found? I don't even remember how this rolled into my sewing room, but I found this kit. You talked about having the Autumn Love quilt kit. I have the How to Build a Scarecrow quilt. No, the Quilted Scarecrow kit. So this is from Lori Holt's Autumn Fabric line. That's what's in here. So since I found this morning, I was digging around. I was like, oh, look at that. I thought it was the snowman, but it's not. So I'm going to use the fabrics out of this because I made the How to Build a Scarecrow, which used those plastic templates, and I snap-appliqued the whole thing by creating the embroidery design, scanning those templates into the Scan and Cut. So this one, you guys, this is not a snap-applique quilt. I'm just going to cut out my shapes using the Scan and Cut, and that's it. Okay, so the embroidery designs are already created, so it is not snap-applique. This is just, that's the difference between the two. Snap-applique is you create the embroidery design, and otherwise you're just cutting your shapes with a pre-existing embroidery design. Okay. Did anyone kit up hometown embroidery? Oh, I don't know. I don't know about that. I had talked to two chicks about possibly doing hometown. The problem is that fabric is kind of hard to come by. So anyway, so hi Renata, how you doing, sweetheart? Okay, so let's see, where'd you go? Elaine asked, are you using the block labels in the PDF? I am not. Okay, I'm not going to be doing that. I'm going to do my blocks one at a time versus cutting everything out. I certainly could do it and put them in the easy stacks. I might, but right now my plan is just to do a single block at a time. Okay, so I wouldn't need the block labels. Okay, so in this kit, the quilted scarecrow, this is the quilted version of that scarecrow quilt. There is none of the tea-dye words. And the tea-dye words, it's kind of a light brown and it's got fall words all over it. And that's okay. That fabric is very hard to come by. I didn't get the kit from Two Chicks. I told them, don't bother. Save what you would send to me and send it to somebody else, okay? Because I certainly do not need it. But I did order before I announced to y'all, because I know how y'all are. I did go looking, and I'm going to use this. So this is the same color as the tea-dye words, okay? It's just a little floral, and it's going to look fine. It's going to be just fine. That's the background for the house, okay? And in the sashing. So that's the fabric that I'm going to use for the background of the house and the sashing. Okay. I also got this. This is the border. This is the outer border. Okay. And then I got this for the backing. All right. Now, I picked this up. This is that background for many of the blocks. Okay. It's a weave. And this is the background for a lot of the blocks. The instructions tell you to put SF 101 on the back of these blocks to provide stability for the stitches. Now, yeah, it is a perfect match, isn't it? That's the beauty of Lori Holt's fabrics. They're all the same value. So no matter whether I'm using something, whatever her line is, they all work together. So for, the blocks that I'm making for Vintage Christmas, I don't have hardly any Vintage Christmas fabric, but that's okay. They look just like what the book wants them to look like. So a pink is a pink, right? Of the same shade. So, okay, I wanted to, I have seen this quilt, this embroidery version of the quilt in quilt stores. And you guys, it is so stiff and thick. It is very stiff and thick. Feels like a flak vest. I don't want my quilt to feel like that. So there is, long before the days of SF 101, embroiderers would use 2 layers of no-show mesh crisscrossed, okay, in the hoop to provide that stability that you need for heavy embroidery. So this block is my test block. I made this several weeks ago, and take a look at it. This is from my scrap bin, okay? I put background quilting on it, all right? And I did the decorative stitching. Sandra, reach out on my blog, powertoolswiththread.com. Search for El Campo. It'll come up, and your POC you need to reach is there. Okay. And Bonnie can help you out. She's managing all of those reservations and whatnot. When you say background is the fabric that you are placing appliques on. Yes, Karen. Karen, I really appreciate you asking that. Okay. Because many of you are very new to this, and I understand that. And so throughout this entire process, those of you that are very seasoned at embroidery, you're going to get sick of hearing me. Okay. Because I'm going to go very slow. We have got new people rolling into the channel all the time, and I love that you're here. So I'm going to be baby stepping this all the way for each block, okay? Can you use a wash away stabilizer? It is not recommended. Not recommended. Okay. So I used 2 layers of no-show mesh, and you guys, I did this heavy stitching. I didn't get any puckers. There is no SF101 on the back of the background fabric. And what you were talking about here, this yellow, this is the background fabric for my test block. You can see here in the seam allowance, there's no SF101 on the back of that block. Now, I got an email yesterday from somebody with a very good question. She said, what's the difference between no-show mesh and SF101? SF stands for Shape Flex, and it is a Pellon product. I heard somebody bought Pellon too, so that's cool. Won't be going out of business on us anytime soon. That was good to hear. So, okay, I'll show you the difference. This is no-show mesh. It comes on a roll. See how it's kind of opaque, but you can see my hand through it, okay? It does not have a weave. This only goes with no stretch, okay? No stretch. That's where you get the stability of 2 layers of it in the hoop so that you don't get puckers with your stitching. You guys have to do this. Now, the instructions tell you to use SF101 on the back of the fabric. So SF1, oh, and this has no fusible on it at all. It doesn't have any iron on at all, okay? This is the mesh. This is SF101. If I get it up close, can you see the weave? See the weave in there? I'll hold it real still. So the weave, it's a woven fabric. It has threads that are going up and down and back and forth. And it provides a very, very stable background for your background fabric. So it also has, this is a, I don't know if you can see the bumps. This is a single-sided fusible, and you just iron it down. This can shrink, okay? If you're going to use it, you need to follow the manufacturer's instructions on the package to tell you how to pre-shrink it. It's just a matter of holding a steam iron over it and steaming it for 30 seconds or so, and it'll shrink up. I'm not going to use this. I was successful doing this with 2 layers of no-show mesh. And so this is how I'm going to use, this is how I'm going to make my blocks. So underneath these top stitches, you have got 2 layers of no-show mesh and a layer of batting. Okay, so the batting is also going to provide some stability for these top stitches. If you were using a blanket stitch, and I've seen some chatter in the Facebook group about how people have taken the software, taken the designs and put them into their embroidery software and converted the outside stitching to a blanket stitch. You don't have to worry about puckering with a blanket stitch, but you need to be pretty savvy with embroidery software in order to do that. It's not a single click, okay? You've got to go through and identify those stitches that need to be removed and then replace them accurately with another stitch. That's hard on designs that are pre-made. So I'm not going to even talk about doing that. I also saw where somebody went in and changed these decorative stitches, okay? See that? See the decorative stitch? Let me move my face. See the decorative stitches? You can see it better in the yellow, okay? It's a decorative stitch around the outside in the yellow, but they all have it. Okay. So, I saw somebody change these to a satin stitch and they like that look better. Again, if you have the skills to do that, go for it. That's great. Because I've got beginner embroiderers here and we're going to do this as a beginner embroidery project, then I am going to follow the directions for the most part with the stitches and everything. I'm not going to do any major changes like that. I'm going to stay true to the design. Okay. So hope that answers those questions. Okay. Connie likes the decorative stitches. Can you use battleizer instead of the stabilizer? I would do a test block first. Okay. So battleizer, for those that are new, is a combination of stabilizer and batting. It's a little bit more expensive than traditional batting because it's 2 products in one, and it is proprietary to Hoop Sisters. So you can, I would do a test block with your scrap basket first and see how it goes. Okay. All right. So there's that, right? Also, background quilting. Background quilting is what happens when you are quilting the back of the block before you do the embroidery. Okay. Quilting the back of the block on your background fabric. You put the batting on the stabilizer, you get that down, and then you trim that away or whatever. I won't be trimming it away because I am going to use the trimmer by George. And I'll show you that here in a minute. Okay. So this is a design that was inside of the Luminaire, my brother Luminaire embroidery machine. And I grabbed it out of Design Center just to test it and see how it would look. I really like it. For the real quilt, not the test block, I'm going to be using Designs by Juju's, she calls them quilting backdrops. Okay. So I'll be using those because she's got a really super cute chicken wire. Okay. She's got some straight lines that look like, they remind me of hay and a bale. So I think that goes really well with the theme of what's in here. Also, you can see in this design, I will put a list of the background quilting that I'm going to use in my blog. If you go to subscribe to powertoolswiththread.com. Oh, here's Daniel, you guys. Here's my propane guy. You want to say hi, Daniel? Where are you at?
Hello.
Okay. So y'all, that's going to be Daniel and his coworker.
Jesse.
Hi, Jesse. These guys are here to install the propane for my new gas stove. So you guys are going to hear them going up and down in the attic, and I'm sorry, but it's really hot here in South Texas, and you got to get up in the attic early in the morning or you'll die up there. Okay. They're saying hi. I want you to do a good job. All right. So if you look real close here in the sashing, you can see background quilting in the sashing. All right. So I'm going to be doing background quilting in the sashing. Now I'm going to do my sashing a little bit different than the way they say to do it here. In your sashing, in the instructions in here, they want you to put SF101 on the back of the sashing. Okay. And then just add it in. I'm going to make all of my sashing in one large hooping. No, many large hoopings. Okay. I'm going to make my sashing that way. So I will hoop a great big, the Luminaire will do a 10 by 16. Okay. And I will put a big piece of batting on it. Okay. And then I'm going to use In Brilliance with Juju's background quilting designs for her quilting backdrops and make my sashing that way. And they will be trimmed with seam allowance so that they all fit together. If you've ever done a Juju table topper or little, her little wall hangings where you put all these panel pieces together, that's what I'm doing. That's the way I'm going to do that. How am I going to cut for each blocks when the instructions don't show that? So Donna, the instructions tell you at the end of each block what you need to trim it to. Okay. And so I will make my inner line, because the inner line is actually the edge. Okay. So I can't remember what this one, I think it said did it say to go to 5.5? I need a ruler. That's a good question. Okay. How are you going to cut for each block when the instructions don't show that? So the instructions tell you what size to trim the block to. Okay. So this said to trim to 5.5, I think, or 6.5. I can't remember. 5.5. And I did. So your outer stitching line here, this outer stitching line is where I trimmed it to. And then I left 1/2 inch for seam allowance all the way around. This would fit in the quilt. Okay. Because when you go to match these pieces up side by side, you're going to match these corners. And then you're going to stitch just inside of the stitching line, and that will hide all of the edge of the stitches in the seam allowance, and it works. It works great, okay? So let's see here. We have a new person, Emma. Hi, Emma. Thanks for joining us. I love that. Very nice. My welcoming committee is doing their job. Right. So Star says page 9 is the fabric cutting instructions listed by fabric, then by block. Right. Okay. So let's get into that. Oh, wait, first thread. So yesterday I said, because somebody on the cruise told me they were looking for glide thread for the quilt, my brain said they used glide thread. They did not. The threads in the pattern in the PDF are Robeson Anton. Okay. And they give you a link to color match other brands if you want. So they send you a link for that. Also, in these USB boxes and in the instructions, there is a QR code, right? Let's see. It says, scan here for project updates. This is where you would use your phone and hold your camera up to it, and it'll get a yellow ring around it, and it'll say at the bottom, open in your browser, and tap that, and it'll take you to Riley Blake's page corrections. As of yesterday, there are no corrections for this quilt in the embroidery version. Okay. There might be corrections in the quilting version, but we're not doing that. So as of yesterday, no corrections. That doesn't work for glide. Okay. Using backdrop quilting and joining the blocks and then add the backing. The blocks are larger. How is the backing quilted with the backing? Okay, Cindy, I'll try to see if I can't answer that. Okay. It works. I'm telling you, it works. If you want, so this is kind of a quilt as you go project is what it is. You're going to be doing it. We're quilt as you go in the hoop. And I've made many, many, many of these projects and it works. All right. So, you can, you add the backing to the joined block. So that's the thing. When you quilt as you go and you want to quilt it, you'll stitch in the ditch. Okay. There is a way to make the blocks, and that's what I did with the quilted snowman. I'm sorry, with the how to build a scarecrow quilt. I made the blocks without the batting, joined them all together like a large quilt top, and then quilted it on the long arm. Okay. So yeah, there are corrections for hometown. Yes, Marge, absolutely. Okay. So I'm going to do the quilt as you go, putting the batting down, following the instructions just as it says to. That's the way I'm going to do it so that I do it exactly like they want me to, except I'm not going to be putting SF101 behind my background fabrics. All right. Just FYI. Because I will be using 2 layers of no-show mesh crisscrossed over each other. And that seemed to work pretty well for this test block right here. I didn't get the puckering. Okay. So I've gone over the fabrics that I'm going to use for the quilt. I've gone over the threads. I am going to match my threads to the fabric as close as possible. I have every color of glide except for pink lemonade, and I don't need that in this quilt. I need to get on the wait list for pink lemonade. All righty. I need a sip of coffee. Okay, so before I left on the cruises for Sew and Sale 17 and 18, somebody left a comment, said they've looked at the flyers for Sew and Sale 19 and 20 and said, you're not on it? You're not going to be there? No, y'all, I got to be here with you. I can't go on every Sew and Sale cruise. It's fine. I'm thrilled. Okay. So, pardon my back. I had to drop that. It's hard to find pink lemonade. It is on back order. So what needles am I going to use? They are recommending a 7511 sharp. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to use my 9014. I'm using organ needles because and it's not going to be the sharp, just a 9014. I think it's the EBBR by Organ. So if you have, here they are right here. They're in my Amazon shop. Okay. These are them. These are my 9014s. And I'm going to be using those because we're going through so many layers. I have more success on my machine. You can try it with the 7511s. Okay. Whoop, hold on. Put it from SAEMB. Those are embroidery needles, 7511. These are organ, and they are in my, I'm trying to find there. Okay. Brother and baby lock machines are timed at the factory with organ needles. That's why you got these needles in your accessory pouch when you got the machine. If you have a brother or baby lock and you're using any other brand of needles and you're getting shredding, try an organ and it may solve all of your problems. I had horrible shredding on my little PE 770 when I started until I switched to organ needles when I found out that they're timed with these needles. And after listening to Julie from Two Chicks on Sew and Sale 17, she gave a whole class on needles for the long arm. I learned so much, my goodness. So I know, I don't want, Heidi says, if you're on every cruise, they'll give you your own stateroom, right? I have no intention of cruising you guys until 2027 on the Viking River cruise. Oh, and I got a text message from them yesterday. It has sold out. Yay. And with very few exceptions, like maybe 2 people, it's all Power Tools with Thread people. So fun, right? Shredding. Yes, thread shredding. That is the bane of our existence as embroiderers, is it not? Did I get Spanky service? Yes, Amy, I did. So Spanky is my brother 10 needle. I will be doing some blocks on the 10 needle for my multi-needle users, but I'm going to do, most of them will probably be done on my single needle because we leave in 3 weeks on our big 6-week RV trip around the country where I'm teaching. And I'll be doing these on my travel machine. Okay. So yeah, you got a balcony. Yay, Margaret. We're going to have a ball. I have friends, they're in their late 70s and they're like, if I'm still alive, I'm going. It's a reason to stay with us, right? That's so funny. Oh my gosh. So I will be using a 9014. If you use a 7511 and you have, you're hearing, you have troubles, any troubles at all with your thread or a needle breaks, switch to the 9014. Okay, do that. So if you, Frida will be with me. Yeah, I know, those poor people. I know. Frida will be with us on our RV trip. So you'll see Frida every morning all summer long. Yeah. I've got all these people coming on the river with me. Betsy, we're going to have so much fun. Okay. There will be no sewing classes on that river cruise. They do not have conference room space. That's a small ship. It only holds 160 people. So, okay. Now, another sip of coffee. Oh my gosh, looking for y'all. Loretta's looking for a roommate. Okay. So, Loretta, make sure you let them know when you talk to Donna, the travel agent, and whoever wants to think they might want to be a roommate with her, go ahead and reach out to Donna. I have it on my blog, powertoolswiththread.com. Talks all about the trip and who to contact. And I also have information on it below in the description box, I think. Maybe I took it out because we filled up. I can't remember. We know people are going to come and go over the next 2.5 years, and that's fine. Okay, so I will be cutting all of my applique shapes on the Brother Scan and Cut, and I will be using Heat and Bond Light on the back of my fabrics. So that's also going to give me some stability on those fabrics. It's no longer flimsy. It has a little heft to it, a little bit of weight. Okay, so that's what I have on the back of this, and this is fairly flimsy. It's Not as light as a regular quilt block, obviously, because it has batting in it, but it doesn't feel stiff like you normally would have if you were doing the SF101 on here as well. Okay. So I did do a video on how to create the cut files. If you have, so, and you all can let me know if you've got the Brother embroidery thread palette in your machines. If it's not a Brother, you probably don't. Brother or Baby Lock. Brother and Baby Lock have the Brother embroidery thread palette inside these machines already. Most of them do. Most of the, if you've got a 6x10, oh good, Kathy says, can you use heat and bond Featherlight? I do not recommend that, Janice. I don't recommend. I've tried it with Featherlight and it doesn't work. I bought a whole bolt of it and I might as well throw it away because I cannot use it. Okay. I do not recommend Featherlight, Misty Fuse, the sulky iron-on that's real light. I do not recommend any of those products. You need heat and bond light or hot fix adhesive. If you have hot fix and want to use it up or whatever, it works just as good. But what happens is those featherweight adhesives for the back of the fabrics, they just don't stick to the mat. It just doesn't work. Okay. Donna said, great video on cut files. Good. Linda wants to know what kind of batting am I using? I'm using 100% cotton, and I got mine from Loft Supply. Loft Supply is a husband and wife team out of the Woodlands, north of Houston. I love supporting my Texans. They're a small mom and pop, and they buy their batting from a mill in Fort Worth. So you're buying USA at Loft Supply. You may want to use a bamboo. You could do that too. You could use a bamboo mix batting on here if you wanted. But I'm going to, I might do that because I have a bamboo batting blend. And I'm not a fan for quilting. I've used it in my quilting on my long arm, and y'all, it shifted and gave me a bubble. Oh, so upset. I had to go in there and trim out that bubble because it shifts, right? You've got to base the fire out of it because it's very floaty. What can I use heat and bond that's not light for? I bought a bolt of it and a bolt of light. You can use standard heat and bond to put patches on things. You can do that. Okay. That's what you need to order, loftsupply.com. Okay, loftsupply.com. That's David and Sherry Mark. David has a first name and a last name, and they seem interchangeable. So David and Sherry Mark, loftsupply.com. I love them. Do I have the date of that cut video? Let me show you, Glenna. Yeah. So I also have a playlist on scan and cuts. Okay. I cut applique shapes all the time with my scan and cut. So any of my scan and cut videos, you're going to see, especially like the ghost video for Happy Halloween. I've got a whole playlist on that. I cut those pieces. I'm going to use the exact same method. Okay. I'm going to use the exact same method. So let me pull up my channel. I'm going to pull up YouTube here on my laptop and go to my channel. View my channel. Okay. So let me show you guys. I'm going to show you my screen. I'm going to share screen. Power Tools with Thread on YouTube. Okay. So here is my YouTube channel. I'm not going to click on anything because we don't need me talking over myself. And you can go right here. Okay. And across the top, I've got videos, shorts, live, playlists. So live is where you find all of my lives, all right? But you can go to videos right here. And when you go to videos, the pre-recorded, there it is. And it was done 2 weeks ago right here. Create applique cut shapes from PES Designs using Luminaire and Scan and Cut, okay? So that's how you do it on that one. I'm going to show you again as I go through making my shapes. I'll do it again. For the playlists, this is where you can go through and like my Happy Halloween quilt, okay? You can look here, there's Snapplique. On the Snapplique and on the Happy Halloween, you're going to see how I cut my shapes. So lots and lots. I have a whole scan and cut playlist in here somewhere, you guys. Tons and tons of stuff. Okay. So lots and lots of videos. I have more than 1,000 videos on YouTube. So, hey, while you guys are sitting here and watching me, would you hit the thumbs up button? I'd appreciate it. And if you're watching on your TV, grab your channel, your TV channel remote, and hit the channel up button. That's a thumbs up as well. I appreciate it. And subscribe if you haven't already. So, okay. All righty. So, great. Cindy did the scan and cut update and now can't connect to Wi-Fi. I'm glad you brought that up. I'll show you how to fix that, okay? Because I had the same problem. So I reached out to Brother Support and they showed me how, and it's easy to fix. So I'll get you going there. Also, if you have a scan and cut, a lady reached out to me. She has a scan and cut 125. She cannot see the PHX files because she doesn't have My Connection. And My Connection is a feature on the higher end scan and cuts and Brother wireless machines. Okay. So that's called My Connection. And that allows those machines to talk to each other. I'm going to use that. But if you don't have My Connection, you can take the PHX file that you create on your Brother machine, or I'll show you how to do it in Brilliance embroidery software as well. If you don't have a Brother machine, I'll show you how to do it. But you really need software in order to be able to create those cut shapes for your applique, your little arrows and the star and all that, okay? Thank you for promoting the channel to your friends in Japan. Thank you so much. I love that. Thank you. Appreciate it very much. Worldwide, yay. Because YouTube just has a translation thing now. So now it'll be like when I was a kid, I used to watch Godzilla movies in black and white, and they were all in Japanese. And so we heard English, but their mouths were moving different. Now it's the other way around. That's hilarious. Oh my goodness. Did I quilt the fabric for the Buy Any laptop case? Did I pre-quilt the fabric? Yes, Debbie. I did it on my long arm. Okay. So if your scan and cut says it cannot read, so let's say you don't have My Connection, okay? And you go in on your Brother or Baby Lock and you create a cut file, and it's going to be called a PHX. X is in X-ray, PHX, Papa Hotel X-ray, okay? It's going to create a PHX format. You go to put that into your scan and cut, and your scan and cut can't see it, okay? That could happen. One of two reasons why. One, you don't have the current software update, okay, for your machine. It needs a software update. Or two, your machine cannot read PHX files. And that all depends on what model machine you have. So let me show you how to figure all that out between the network not connecting, because a lot of you have scan and cuts and you've done this, and that network now, it doesn't work, right? So I'm gonna change cameras here. Okay. I'm going to turn this on and get it moving. So this is the Brother SDX 325. Your model number will be right there underneath your screen. So that's the 325. And let me get my little pointer, and it's going to do its thing. As soon as it changes the picture, I'll know it's ready to go. But we need to get in here and take a look at these. Katie says, I love those black and white movies. I did too. I wish I could find them again. Okay. There we go. Here we go. So there is your main menu on your scan and cut. Can I get in any closer? I can. Okay, let's move you up. 874 watching. Awesome. Awesome. All right, y'all. So if your scan and cut cannot connect to the network, see that right there? That's the little network indicator, those little radar waves. If your scan and cut is not connected to the network, it'll have a line through it. All right. You need to go into the wrench and you need to go down to the section for networking. So these are broken into sections. Okay. And keep going. And there's my seam allowance and auto shutdown. Okay. So here's network. You're going to go to network. Okay. And you're going to scroll down to others. And let's see, not network reset. Where is it? Network history. We need to, oh no, I'm sorry. I went to the wrong one. Not network. My bad. It's, let me click OK. Let me go back. You need to go to machine information, I think. So on machine information, it's going to tell you embroidery data, and it's going to say PES, PHC, PHX, readable. If it doesn't say readable, you cannot see the PHX files on your machine. Okay, you're going to have to use software to create those cut shapes. Oh, let me back up. Y'all, if you want to do this the way the instructions tell you, okay, if you're making the larger quilt, so like these red, okay, these red cut shapes, they want you to put a giant piece of red all over the whole block and then cut out just those little bits. So it's a real waste of fabric. That was a big complaint, okay, on people that I heard they made this quilt and it was a waste of fabric because of the cut shapes or the applique or whatever. So if you want to do that, if you don't have a cutting machine or it can't read PHX or whatever, you can do that, okay? Your kit will be big enough, should be big enough for you to be able to do this the old-fashioned way, the way they tell you to do it in the instructions, to lay a big piece of fabric on it. It'll tack down all of your shapes. Then you'll pull the hoop and you'll take your scissors and trim around all these little pieces. I don't want to do that. I'm going to pre-cut all of my pieces. And that's why I'm doing this with you guys. Okay. Okay. Making sure I'm not missing anything here. So that's where you find, if you're not sure if you can see the PHX files, you can come here and right there, it'll tell you if it's readable or not. Okay. Now, let me go back. It was on, let's see, was it machine registration? No. Reset, not network reset. Okay, let me go back. Okay, let me go back. I'm going to click OK. So we go to the wrench. This is if you're not connected to the network with your scan and cut. You're going to click on the wrench and scroll to the bottom. Use your 2 arrows and go to reset. Darn it. Wrong camera. Let me go back. Okay. So from here, you're going to go to wrench. The 2 arrows go all the way to the bottom. Go to reset and tap reset to default. All saved data, settings, and network information will be reset to default. Do you wish to continue? Tell it yes. Okay. And then reboot the machine when it's done. And it should, let me tell it no, and go back. Okay. Don't reset your network. Reset the machine. You don't have to reset the network. Then you're going to go through the process of the network settings and the wireless LAN, and you can go through the wireless wizard and reconnect to your network. You're going to have to put your network router password back into your machine, but that will fix it. Okay. Yeah, only brother machines can connect to the scan and cut. Baby locks do not do that. Sorry. Yeah, that's a brother feature. Okay. How do you do the updates? Scrapping like a lady. It's going to tell you right here. Okay. It's going to tell you right here, update available. You're going to get a notice that says update available. You can tap on that. Okay. And then that will begin the update. Or you can go to the brother support website for your machine. Okay. And you can download the update to USB and then you can update it that way. and it'll take care of that and do it as well. So, all right. Let me see here. Oh, Donna, you're in the hospital. Oh, I'm sorry, sweetie. I hope you're just visiting and you're not a patient. But if you are, okay. If you are, prayers. All right. Is there a Canvas workspace update? If so, any concerns? I have not seen one. I think did I see a message they were going to do one? I can't remember. No, I don't have a problem with that. All right. So Betsy says she has a Baby Lock Solaris and she can send designs. Okay. We'll see. Oh, you broke your ankle. Oh, bless your heart. Poor thing. If they put the My Connection feature on Baby Lock machines, I'm unaware of that. So let me show you what My Connection looks like. On your main menu on the Scan and Cut, you have Pattern and Scan, and then you can cycle through these menus. There's little arrows. If you click this one back arrow right here, it says My Connection, okay? And when you click My Connection, it's going to say select Send to send data to your wireless LAN device and select Retrieve to retrieve data. So if you're sending the cut files from your sewing machine, your embroidery machine, to the Scan and Cut, you're going to click Retrieve, and it'll have something, it'll say wireless LAN device or machine's memory. So where do you want to get it from? And if it's on a USB, you can say machine's memory, and it'll look for it, and there's where I had saved that there, okay? So this is where I was saving from the PES file. If you go wireless LAN device, it's going to look in the temporary data pocket, and I don't have any data to be read because I don't have anything waiting to be pulled over to the Scan and Cut right now, okay? All right. So where are we at on time? We're almost done here. Couldn't get a connection card from the dealer. Right, Sandra. So if you have the old CM model of Scan and Cut, the process to cut your shapes is going to work, okay? You just have to go about it with a USB. All right. Not necessarily. Hold on. If you have an old CM model and maybe you bought it from somebody, let's say you're a second owner of a CM model, okay? That CM model was registered wirelessly. It came with a wireless activation card. I know, I used to have one, and I registered the machine wirelessly. When I sold that CM model, that was the one with the clear cover, okay, not the solid blue cover like this. When I sold that model, the new owner would have to go get a wireless activation card in order for them to activate it, the wireless feature for them. They no longer have those wireless activation cards. They're out everywhere. Brother stopped making them. If you can find one at some obscure Brother dealership, get it, okay? That would be where you would want to find one, if there's one available at all. Some quilt shops are Brother dealers, like Two Chicks. She doesn't have any. Don't call her for that. Now, on the SDX models, which is what mine is, if I registered it wirelessly and then I sold it and sold it to somebody else, like I was going to give my old one to my granddaughter, but I got her a different one. Anyway, you as the previous owner would have to go into your account and on Canvas and deactivate the machine. Then the new owner can activate the machine. They can do it themselves, okay? So you don't necessarily need another one. I checked with Amy Bachman. She's a Brother dealer, and she said, yes, that's the way that works. Okay. All right. Well, hi, Candace. She's on the phone. All right. Let's see. You've searched God's green earth for an activation card. Yeah, the USB, you're going to have to use the USB. Right, Penny. Absolutely. So Sandra was able to get a card from All Brands. So you might call All Brands in Baton Rouge and see if they have any in inventory. I don't think they have any CM model card. You can call, okay? They may or may not be on their website, but somebody emailed me and told me that they had one and they wanted to give All Brands a shout out for that. So they went digging, okay? They had to go digging for them, y'all. So what happens is they pull them off the wall to make room for other things, and they end up stashing them away. They don't show them in inventory anymore, but they might have them. So you just never know. All right. Any finalized Alabama class info, Glenna? Glenna, you can call, I think it's Oh So Pretty, and she will let you know. Yeah, it's in Opp, Alabama. Okay. All righty. Where can you get one of those USB drives that looks like a scan and cut? Oh, this is not a USB drive. This is not a USB drive. This is a 3D printed scan and cut from a viewer that came to a class that I was teaching. That would be cool, wouldn't it? Okie doke. So let me show you where you find my connection on your machine. If you have a machine with that, it's the higher end models. Okay. Like, I don't think my connection's on my 10 needle. It might be. I haven't looked. Okay. It is cute, right? Okay. So let me get in here. I'm going to turn this. See my cool coffee mug? I have a link to these down below. Very, very cute. Very good. Okay. So I'm going to zoom in. My zoom button. Hold on, y'all. I don't have my zoom button thing turned on. Let me do this. And let me do this. Okay. And let me see if that's going to work. No? I mean, where's my zoom button? I need to get in closer. Hold on a second here, y'all. Technology. Sometimes it works and sometimes it doesn't. There we go. Okay. So this is the Brother Luminaire. All right. And I'm just going to go to, let me see. I'm going to go to Embroidery and the pocket for memory. Okay. So here is the file. This is just one of the PES designs. I want to get you guys in really close so you can see this. I want to show you what I'm going to do with my embroidery designs. If you have a machine with this kind of memory, I highly recommend you do this. Okay, sorry for jumping in front of you. So this is the Autumn Love. Is this the USB for Autumn Love? No. Yeah, this is Autumn Love. This is what came in that box. So I'm going to put it, this little dongle. This is also on my Amazon store. Cute little pink dongle. Okay. So now I'm going to go back. I'm going to hit return. All right. This is the way I'm going to make my life a lot easier. I'm going to go to the pocket for memory. Okay. And I'm going to hit the, let me hit this and get rid of that. I'm going to, let me wait a minute. Let me select that and delete it. Okay. All right. So pocket for memory, no designs. I'm going to go to the USB. And I've got my folders down here. If you have a lower end, and by lower end, I mean it doesn't have a digitizing brain in it like my old PE 770, you may not be able to read down into the folders, okay? You may not be. You might have to put them on a top level in the USB. But anyway, so we've got a B pocket, that's a memory thing, system volume information, and here is ME18 Autumn Love Quilt. All right. And then I'm going to go down to the PES folder. I want to make sure you guys can see and get way in here so you guys can see. Okay. I'm going to touch the PES folder. Now here are my size options, 6x10, 8x12, or 9x14. I'm going to touch the 6x10 because that's the size I'm making. Okay. And it brings up all of my designs. So these are the designs on the USB. All right. And look, they've got a PES file format on them because I'm using a Brother machine. So I'm going to touch this little, it has a like squares down here with a pen, okay, like a stylus. I'm going to touch that. Now, select all, select none, delete, or memory. I'm going to select all. These are all of the designs that I need in this quilt, every one of them, okay? And I'm going to touch memory. And it's saving it in the machine's memory, okay, which is awesome. So now I don't have to go into the USB all of the time to find those. I don't have to go through all that process. So let me go back to home. Those designs are still on the USB, but I don't have to go digging around for them. So now when I sit down to my machine, I'm going to go embroidery, pocket for memory. And there they are right there, because the default memory option is the machine, and here are all of the designs. If you already have a bunch of stuff in there, that's not this, you need to make room for it. You can hit this little key again. Whoops. You can hit this little key again, okay? And you can tap them. Once this is selected, you can tap, okay, them individually and hit delete. And that way you're going to be able to make room for all of these. I'm just going to hit return because I want those in my machine's memory. That's going to make so much easier and a time saver to find the blocks that I'm looking for. Okay, so now let's talk about the My Connection feature. Let's just do this star right here. Again, notice it's a PES. All right, touch it and hit set. I'm just choosing the star because it only has a few thread changes, and it's going to be easier for you guys. I don't want to be here all day. Okay, so I'm going to go into the edit button right up here. Okay, because right now I could jump into embroidery and just stitch it out, but I don't want to. So I'm going to go into edit, and I have this thread palette button. It looks like a spool with red, yellow, blue, and green little icon right there. Whoop, wrong way, sorry. Okay, that's a thread palette button. If you have that and you have a brother or baby lock machine, you can do what I'm about to show you. Okay, all right, so I'm going to touch the thread palette button. This is where it allows you to go in and look and change your threads if you really want to. I think that's a huge waste of time. I don't fiddle with that. Okay, so thank you. Nancy says, great show. You're welcome. Cheap class, right? Yeah. So your color stops are right here. And I've got a preview of what that color stop is all about. And it is, I want to get you guys just right because you need to see the screen, the whole screen. Let me get you out just a little bit. Okay, right there. Good. So I have a preview and I can see that this is the basting stitch. Okay. Go to the next one. There is the placement line for that star. I can see it. Let me zoom in so you can see it. That's not the basting stitch. That was the background fabric tack down stitch. Sorry. Okay. So there is the placement line. So you have to have a basic understanding of applique. When you're going to do applique, what happens is on top of the background fabric, and that's the yellow in this case, on top of the background fabric, it's going to stitch a little placement line. Okay. In this case, it stitches all of the red placement lines at one time. And then you're going to put your fabric over the placement line. And the next stitch that it does is a tack down stitch. And the tack down stitch, after that happens, you're going to pull the hoop and use your scissors to trim all around all those placement stitches. And then the next final stitch is the decorative stitch all the way around the applique. Okay. Then it's going to do it again for the yellow, right? So, and usually a lot of times, if you've got a bunch of colors on here like this, it'll do all the red placement, all the red tack down, all the yellow placement, all the yellow tack down, all the green placement, all the green tack down, and then it'll do the decorative stitches. It just depends on how they set it up in the machine, okay, on the designs. I believe in this one, I can't remember which, I didn't look at it. So we're going to get back in here now and take a look. Okay. So there I am with my placement line. And then you can tell which is which because your placement line is always first. Can this be done on the 1055? I'm not sure, Dorothy. I think so. We can't use scan and cut to cut the pieces if we don't have luminaire. No, that's not true, Kathy. You can use the scan and cut. This is how we go on the luminaire. Yeah. Or any of the higher end embroidery machines that have this ability, because a lot of people here have this. Okay. So that's what I was saying. You need to understand the construction of applique. So there's a tack down for the fabric. All right. Placement line for the star. Let's see here. There's your tack down for the star. Final stitches for the star. See how they're much thicker now? Those are the final decorative stitches. And there is the cut line. Okay. So I'm going to come back here and go through this. That is my placement line for my applique. Okay. So here we have Isocord. This is the Isocord thread color palette, and that is already loaded in my machine. I'm going to use these arrows and scooch over. There's Gutermann, Pace Setter Pro, Polyfast, Iris, Floriani, Embroidery. When you get to where it says Embroidery, okay? Whoop, again, wrong way. I don't have the right button. It didn't connect, you guys. All right, so now I'm in the Brother Embroidery thread color palette. You need to scroll up to the bottom of it. It's got a little scroll line right there. And you've got 3 buttons right here, okay? The one with the scissors, you're going to create a cut file for that particular color stop. So I have that color stop highlighted. That's my placement line, okay? That color stop is highlighted. I go to the Brother Embroidery palette, and I'm going to go down to the scissors. And what it did, okay, now it changed it. So now there's a pair of scissors there. So it knows that that's going to be a cut file. You want to use the placement line as your cut file so your piece fits exactly. Okay. All right. So now I'm just going to tell it, okay. Whoop, I didn't, let me go wide so you can, I had an okay button down there and I tapped it. Now you want to touch this right next to embroidery. Before I jump into embroidery, there's a memory button. Okay, I'm going to touch memory and it wants to know where do you want to save it. So if I save it in the machine's memory, it's going to save as a PHX file. Okay, who's texting me? Notifications. So I'll demonstrate that for you. If you don't have the My Connection feature, you'll save it in the machine's memory and it says saved. We'll go back and look at that in a second. Okay, so let me go back into the edit button. And here we are. I'm going to touch memory again. And right down here at the bottom, so you can save it in the machine to a USB, to a card. You can send it wirelessly somewhere. But there's the little scan and cut machine right there with the little radar waves. That's the My Connection button. So I'm going to tap that. Wait a while. It is adding it to the temporary data pocket on the server. Do I wish to send data? The data in the temporary data pocket will be automatically deleted after a certain period of time. I'm going to tell it transfer. Okay. All right. So we'll look at the scan and cut again in a minute. So if you saved it to the machine's memory because you need to use a USB, okay, I'm going to go to home and tell it okay, and go to embroidery and the pocket for memory. Now look. Whoop, wrong way. Whoop, sorry. Okay. Too wide. Too wide. Back out. Okay. Turn you guys just a little bit. There it is. It gave it a new name. You can't see that from my logo. Sorry. Let me get this turned. Okay. It gave it a new name, 25FAJ070. Don't worry about that. But look at the file extension. PHX. You will, that's the file, the cut file, okay? So you can bring that up if you want, but anyway, that's where it would be if it was saved in the machine's memory. Let me see here, I'm gonna hit set. Now I'm gonna touch, whoop, I always keep doing that. Now you can touch memory and you can save it to the USB. Okay, you can also save it to the USB directly from. So we'll use the USB for cut files as you did in the Halloween quilt. Excuse me. Yes, Kathy. Pardon me. You're welcome, Sandy. Sandy, you probably teach this. Okay, so let me go wide here. Where I had it, if I go into edit and I'm in the thread palette again, right? And I've got that scissor cut right here. Tell it okay. Hit memory, USB. And you'll save it to the USB. Okay. So let's go back over to the scan and cut. Okay. Now, because I use the My Connection feature, I'm going to come over here to My Connection. My coffee mug in the way? No. All right. I'm going to go to My Connection by touching that arrow, touch My Connection. I want to retrieve the data from a wireless LAN device. And we're going to, now, there it is. So let's see. Let me get this. I'm going to touch the crown for applique. And there's my applique piece right there. That's the one. Yep. Let's see here. Let's see. Go back. Oh, no. Let me get that again. Hold on. Okay. So applique, or was it the other one? Yeah, don't change the size. Don't go into that. Okay. Let me go. Oh, here we are. That's what I was after. So when you pull this up, you can see up here. Let me see if you can see that. Get in real close. I don't know if I can get any closer on this camera. I can. Okay. You've got choices up here. You have outside only, you have inside outside, and you have the final stitches. So you want to choose that inside outside. It looks like a square and a circle together. This is a welded square and circle, and those are the stitches. So you're going to choose that one and tell it okay. All right. And here they are grouped together. That's the group box. I touched it and ungrouped it until it's set. All right. So now I think they're still grouped. Yes, they are. You're going to hit edit. You're going to go into the grouping buttons, these 3 red boxes. You want to ungroup part of the mat or all of the mat. I'm going to ungroup all of the mat and tell it okay. Now, there's that outside line. Okay. All of these you're going to get. There's the outside one. There's your cut file right there. And we don't need that one. So now I'm going to go to group again, or you can just hit the trash can, but you probably will have a whole bunch. I'm going to just put this right up here. That's where I want to cut it. Okay. And I'm going to group the mat, part of the mat. And I'm just going to pull this over. So I'm going to put everything I don't want on one side of the mat and tell it okay. Okay. And now I'm going to hit the trash can, and that's going to delete everything. And I'm going to tell it okay. And I need to save that and cut it, right? What am I doing here? That's funny, you guys. Not helping me. So that's the cut file right there. Okay. And set. You can just do this. Same thing. And you can save it. You can scan your mat, cut it. I would test this. Be sure. Okay. Test that. So. Very confused. How will cut files be made in Brilliance if you don't have that? Good question. I have some quick pre-recorded videos on how to create applique shapes if you don't have this information. Do I have an affiliate link for a Juki machine? No, Gloria, but you can call. Well, yeah, I think I do. On my blog, I do. Powertoolswiththread.com, shop my links, Sewing Machines Plus. Yep, I do. So I'm going to take this USB now, and you need the edit button. Vicky says, this is a lot. You guys can go back and watch this. So I'm going to put this USB into the reader. I'm going to show you guys. Okay, I'm going to present and share screen in a window, and we're going to open in Brilliance. Okay. All right. So how do you find the cut files in Brilliance? Well, remember, we talked about the construction of applique. So as you go through here, you're going to look in the objects panel. Okay, I brought the design in. You don't need Stitch Artist for this. This can be done in Brilliance Essentials. Y'all, it's $139, dirt cheap. Okay, much cheaper than a Scan and Cut for sure. But all right, so not this, not this, not this. Here we go. Those are the placement lines. I'll use my arrows to pull up so you can see. Those are the placement lines for that cut file. Okay. So what you can do is click on the color button in the properties box and then right click. Let me see if I can show you. You're not going to be able to see the menus. Let me get out of screen sharing. Okay. What are y'all looking at? Hold on a second here. You got the infinity window. Okay. Let me pull up In Brilliance. All right. Where's my phone? I need to make sure you're seeing what I see. But I have videos on how to do this. Let me pull up YouTube. I want to just make sure you are seeing what I'm saying. Okay. I want to just make sure. Let me turn that down. All right. So you're looking at my laptop now. Oh, wrong way. Okay. So what you do is you can click on this, right click on it, and you'll get a menu pop up. And it says not applique, applique position, or applique material. Click on applique position. So you have now given that stitch, as Lisa Shaw says, a job. Okay. And then you can just go through and keep clicking. It doesn't matter where they are on the screen. So that looks like the placement line for the yellow. So I'm going to right click, applique position. You have to tell in the objects panel which one is the position line. So there's the final stitch. There's the applique position for the placement line, right, for the star. Right click, applique position. Okay, that's the 3 of those for that particular grouping. Right. So now let me get rid of these annoying little boxes. Okay. So you can come all the way up to the top and highlight the whole thing. All right. And down here, let's see, where is it? It should say applique position on here. Let me see. It gets this one. I'm going to click so the thread dialog box comes up. When you left click on it, the thread dialog box comes up. It doesn't matter what thread it is. Don't worry about that. I'm going to click applique. And right in here, there's a cutting box. Okay. So let me do that again. You're going to click on, let me just, I'm I'm going to click on applique position so I can see which one it is. I've only got the one selected. You want all of them? I think you can click on any of the colors. Left click, and a thread dialog box comes up. Yours might look a little different if you're on a Windows machine. I'm going to click applique, and in the cutting section, you have an inflate. The default is 1.5 millimeter. I think I left mine at 0. I'm going to maybe change mine to 0.2. So it's inflated just a little bit, and you can click Save All, okay? I'm going to test that, you guys. So it says Save as Untitled. I'm just going to call it Block 1 SVG. So I know that those are the SVG files, even though it says .svg, and that's there, okay? And I'm going to save it on, I want to save it on I'll save it in my downloads, what the heck. Block 1 SVG, and click Save. Okay. And then it says the DPI, which is dots per inch. You can ignore that and click OK and click OK. So I've created now SVG files for all of these cut files in here. All right, let's go to Brother Canvas, and I can share my screen with you for that. I'm just showing you all the different ways that you can do this, okay? Because not everybody has the same setup. So I wanted you guys to know all of the different ways that you'd be able to create the cut files. You can do it in the machine and send it wirelessly directly to the Scan and Cut. If you have the My Connection feature. If you don't have My Connection, you can save it in the machine, a Brother or a Baby Lock, and save it to the USB as a PHX file and do that. Send it, you can take it by USB to the Scan and Cut. Or if you don't have a Brother or Baby Lock, you can use In Brilliance embroidery software and create your own SVG files, okay? So let me pull up Brother Canvas. I'll log in here. Make sure this is going to work. All right. Doesn't matter if you tell it, remember me. It forgets you after 7 days anyway. Okay, so let me share my screen with you now. And we're going to go to Brother Canvas. So this is free, even if you don't have a Brother embroidery machine. You do not have to have a Brother embroidery machine to use this or the Scan and Cut. They work outside of your embroidery machine, okay? So you saw that I just pulled the design up in Brilliance. It's the software that created the SVG files. And now I'm going to go to New. I'm not going to tell you all the buttons. That's too much time. We don't care about that. And right up here, there's an SVG button. I'm going to click that, and I'm going to go to Choose File. I put it in my downloads right here, Block 1 SVG. I know you can't see that pop-up window, and tell it OK. I'm sorry if you couldn't see that. So there are all those pieces, right? So if you pull it up and it's in a different color and you can't see it, you can highlight them all and go to the properties box and change the color right here. If you want, you click that and you get a whole palette. These are in red so I can see them. So now I'm going to take all of my red pieces and I'm going to put them together over here. Okay. Going to grab all my red ones. So there's those four. Now see, this is how you maximize the use of your fabric, okay? Because you don't have to put them, you know, you don't need that big old piece of fabric. You can put all of your red, let me get a little bigger so I can see what I'm doing. Okay. You can put all of your red pieces together. There. I'm going to put the green down here, and then I'm going to move all of my yellows together. And you're going to look at the pattern book to see what's what here. So see, instead of needing a big 6x6 piece of fabric, I'll show you how to figure out how much you need. I can put all these together like this. Now, if you click 1, it gives you the size. I always add an inch, approximately, maybe 3/4 to an inch to each one of these numbers. To cut them all at the same time, I'm going to highlight them all and right click and give me a menu, right click and group. Why isn't it doing that? Edit, let's group. Okay. So now I can see I really need like a 3.5 inch square to cut all of these yellow pieces at one time. Okay. And then there's that one. If you're not sure if the piece you have on your Scan-A-Cut, if you do the PHX, do this process on In Brilliance and send it up there and make sure they're the same size. It should still be 2.35. Okay. So it will then cut to 2.37 because of the inflate of 0.2 that I put on there. But I would test that. Make sure your inflate isn't going to hang over too far. All right. So that's what is going on here. Let me stop that. Okay. Thank you so much. Let me see. Donna, thank you so much for your super sticker. That's very thoughtful. I appreciate that. Cheap class, cheap class. So, all right. Let's see. I need a nap. I know, Vicki. Well, I'm going to go out and my stove's getting installed. I have a priority. I couldn't cook eggs this morning. I make my eggs in the microwave. That's a different. So anyway, I hope that was all very helpful for the prep. I know we went an hour and a half. I will start on the this block for real on Thursday, Embroidery Thursday. Okay. I will create a blog post or update the existing blog post for Autumn Love for you guys that has exactly which Juju designs I'm going to be using for the background quilting. Okay. And I'll have links to all of the stuff that you need. So test. Okay. Be sure to test, double check, stitch out on stabilizer first. Doesn't matter what kind of stabilizer. Then do a cut shape with your scrap basket and make sure it fits. And if the inflate isn't right, adjust. Okay. So you can do that. Awesome. So thank you so much for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the video. Please give it a thumbs up. Best info on the internet, right? For helping out with it. Way too confused. I tell you what, Sophies, once you get to watching me do this, it's confusing because I showed all these multiple different ways. But once you get to watching me do this using the method that I'm doing, I'll use each one during the first couple of blocks to show those people how to do that. Okay. So you'll get it then. I know. Just keep watching over and over. And one day it'll go bing and you'll be like, yay, I get it. And then send me an email and tell me that. Okay. All right. Thank you, Patty. No, you are awesome. I love you guys. I will see you in the morning. Okay. Talk to you soon. Go sew something. Bye.